Welcome to Living a Sustainable Dream, and today we're going to be taking the electric chainsaw out in combination with the Coyote tractor and the PTO generator, and working on maybe just cleaning up the property, taking out some dead limbs off trees, maybe bucking some firewood, and bringing it back to the woodshed. Just kind of seeing what will it do. Can it actually handle gathering firewood off the property in the forest? So we're just going to give it a little test run today and see what happens. What we're going to do also is put the thumb back on the front bucket here. And the mount, you just leave that mount on your front bucket. You never take that off. And I'll just kind of show how to get the thumb back on the bucket.
So when I started putting this video together, I realized that this video is pretty much work. And I don't like to commentate while working. It doesn't go over well. The sound's off. Trying to have a mic on me or near me and trying to get through the wind or the roosters crowing in the background. It's a lot of extra. So it just slows the process down. So I'm kind of doing the commentary during the actual process off to the side. So I'm watching the video and working through it. But anyway, just to let you guys see that this is the thumb. And the reason I bought the thumb is so that I could pick up logs and then hold them in place to buck them into rounds that I can split and then stack. Now, I cannot tell you how valuable this is to anyone that works with firewood every year and has to gather a minimum 4 to 5 cords a year, because what it does is it pulls the log off the ground, so you don't have to worry about burying your chain into the dirt, which dulls your chain very quickly, which just adds to a lot of problems. So just putting a thumb on, it does weigh a lot, and you do have to kind of balance it with your knee, and it does come together pretty good. I mean, it didn't really take that much time to get it to work, so not that hard.
Okay, the thumb is all attached, and now I got to basically hook up the hydraulics to it, which can be pretty tricky, even with these quick release hydraulics. So hopefully it's not too pressurized, and I can get those quick releases right on. It'll snap right to it, and it can go.
This is putting the hydraulic cables for the thumb onto the tractor and connecting it all together. I'm taking the protective coverings out of the quick releases. And those keep the quick releases free of dirt, grime, any type of debris. And you want those really clean to get them on and off very easily. I'm connecting the back hydraulic cable first. That way I'm not working around the front to get it connected, which just adds to the frustration. Connecting the back just makes it so much easier. Now the other day it was getting pretty hot and warm and the lines were pressurized, so I had a real hard time connecting my hydraulic cables to the tractor. It's easier if it's a little bit cooler and the tractor isn't pressurized in their lines. Also, make sure you put the dust caps connected together. That way you're keeping them clean, so the next time you use them they won't be dirty or filthy.
Hey, that's that. It's ready to go. Now all I got to do is take it on the woods with the PTO generator and see what kind of trimming I can do and force work I can do with this electric chainsaw.
This is where I'm actually getting the electric chainsaw prepped and ready to go. I have the Winco generator hooked up to the PTO. Right now I'm using about a 25-foot 12 gauge cord. I will switch to a 100-foot later on. Now I'm tying a half hitch in there. The reason I'm tying a half hitch into the cord is to keep the cords together. So if you're working on something and you pull that cord because you need a little bit extra cord length, it won't pull the two sockets away from each other and disconnect the appliance, or the electric chainsaw in this case. I do know that they have these plastic covers that you can actually put the two cords in, lock them in place, and then clamp this plastic cover over the cords to keep you from having to kink it or tie these half hitches in, which can damage the cord over a long period of time. And I had one in my hand at the store, and it was about $4 to $5 for this cheap piece of plastic that I know is going to break. So right now, I'm looking at getting the tractor's PTO RPMs up so that it is at a level where it's producing enough electricity to run the electric chainsaw. And it's got a gauge on it that I can see very clearly. And now I'm just going to go ahead and delimb the tree. The cord does get caught up in the limbs. That's not why I'm clearing the limbs so quickly. The reason I'm clearing the limbs is because I hate tripping on limbs. And so having the cord there is another extra incentive to get those limbs out of my way. I'm just going to go ahead and speed it up. That's where the cord came unplugged, and that's one of the downsides to it. So I'm just kind of comparing right now what an electric chainsaw looks like versus a gas chainsaw. And they're relatively similar to each other, except for the cord dangling behind me. That can become unplugged every now and then. But even with a gas chainsaw, you have your issues. Like you have the carburetor, you have stall issues. And this thing is relatively light compared to my gas chainsaw. I can easily delimb and go where I need to go. Or you can buy a smaller gas-powered one. But I found it working with it wasn't that difficult. I actually enjoyed using the electric chainsaw. There's a few times that the cord came unplugged or got in the way. All right, what I'm going to do now is I got the PTO all geared up and running. I'm going to start bucking the wood in place. And I left a lot of the branches underneath the tree that are suspending it in air so that I wouldn't have to worry about burying the chainsaw on the ground and getting the chain dull. So that's why you see the tree kind of swing in the air, because it's being propped up by branches. Now, as you see, I'm turning the chainsaw, and what I'm doing is I'm measuring. And so from the handle to about pretty much the gear to tighten the chainsaw, the chain on the bar is 15 inches. And so I pre-measured it with the tape measure and go, okay, there's my 15-inch mark. Now every time I turn it, I'm measuring, and I'm getting exactly 15 inches for my wood cook stove. And my wood cook stove takes 15-inch logs and burns them really well. It can go up to 17, but it gets really crowded. So I would rather have a little bit of airspace in the firebox, and so that's why I go with 15 inches. But you don't have to cut around and then hold it up to each piece you're cutting. That's ridiculous. Your chainsaw is the measure. Use your chainsaw. Find the mark on your chainsaw that is the size round that you want for your fireplace or your wood cook stove, and then just use the chainsaw to measure. That's what it's there for. And that's part of the reason why I think these companies put marks on their chainsaw, their letters, their logos, and you can use my still to get 15 inches on my MS311. I think I mark it off at the S in still on the side of my chainsaw case. So I don't like measuring with the bar. It's a little awkward. Some people use the bar. This bar is a 16-inch bar. I like to go from the handle. Just personal preference. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and just the commentary I put into it for you guys to make it less boring, but there's a lot of work. I do enjoy getting work done on the property. Hope you enjoyed this. All right. Bye.